digitaljamsessions.com.
Hello and welcome to this digital jam session. We're coming at you live from the BMA conference here in Bilbao in Spain, and we have with us the lovely Muki Callahan and Sanjay.
Hello again. Hello.
So we're currently in the VIP speakers lounge and it might be slightly noisy. You have been forewarned. But let us explain exactly who you two are to our lovely listeners. And we'll start with you, Muki. Why don't you explain a little bit about what you're up to and what you've been doing?
Hi, everyone. I'm Muki Callahan. I'm an executive digital producer running my own production consultancy and production company called Muki International Limited. My background lies very firmly in the music and broadcasting space with many years at MTV, and I've done BBC and ITV and handle other large, high-end, end-to-end scale productions and clients and mix that with immersive technologies in the music industry space. And I've got a couple A-list and interesting clients at the moment that range from large-scale global brands and also a smaller startup that I'm working with as well. Wonderful. So it's a nice space to mix the big, scary world into a smaller company and what goes on outside the corporate bubbles into corporate companies.
Lovely, thank you very much.
I'm here for the next half hour.
And Sanj, why don't you explain a little bit more about you and what you're up to with Tiger Heart?
Yeah, so my name's Sanj. I am a digital atelier. I run my own business called Tiger Heart, which is an agency that's about 6 months old. I've been working within digital and tech for about 19 years now. And basically, I'm just really interested in exploring the relationship between the consumer and digital. I've worked with many different types of disciplines, so holographic technology, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, and also virtual reality. And ultimately, what I like to do is work with brands to help them communicate new narratives using new types of technology.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. Now, we've just come off the stage. You literally are fresh off the stage here at VMA, talking about the future of immersive technology and immersive entertainment, specifically for the music industry. So what I want to do is I want to continue that conversation and just kind of explore a little bit of where we were going with this whole idea of where the technology can take us and what is possible versus what people think is possible. Now, I know that, Mickey, one of the comments that you made, you was talking about this idea of being a little bit more relevant with the technology. And you wanted people to be thinking about how can they utilize new and emerging technologies specifically for the music industry. So one of the areas that we kind of touched on briefly, Sanj mentioned things like blockchain. But I want to kind of take it to even further because the whole point of this panel was talking about the future of the technology, and we never really got to the true future route. We talked about a lot of technology that's kind of already around and has been around for a little while. And what I want to talk about is stuff like, as a, for example, talking about geolocation, geofencing. We never really discussed that one. We also didn't talk much about things like, for example, other technologies, things like smart pills technology to utilize smart pill technology or integrated biotechnologies. We didn't really talk about that kind of stuff, or contact lenses, or you know what Elon Musk is doing, things, you know, with in terms of being able to use the brain integration directly with the human body. We didn't really talk about those kind of things. So I kind of want to explore a little bit further into kind of the edge of the future, if you like, as to where we really think this technology is going and how we can integrate this from a music and entertainment perspective. So I'm going to start with you, Muki. What's your first thought on that?
I think everything you've just mentioned there, you're hitting about 90 nails on the head. With the emergence of the biotechs and the kind of, brain sensory type of things where technology is capturing human emotion. Obviously the music industry is about human emotion, and that's what it specializes in. And, it all starts from, a songwriter taking a pencil in the middle of the night and writing it down on the paper next to them and just making that song through the production to the first time you hear it on the radio, which still is a very important medium, or Spotify, or someone says, you've got to check out this tune, or you're in a random restaurant and you're like, what is that song? And whether or not you have Shazam or not, you usually make an effort and find out what it is. Taking that to the next level, I think, is going to really be advancing in this space, and it will come in handy for the marketeers out there, the advertisers out there, which could then translate into various form of metrics in the form of biometrics that could scale, that could trickle down to what a manager of an artist or an actual artist is going to be interested in on how their audience reacts. So they might be, for example, say you've got Black Eyed Peas, and they've been going 20, 25 years, and they range from kind of like old school hip hoppy to pop to a bit of dance with their remixes thrown in, and they could like, hey, maybe this should be a remix, maybe this should be this, and that's a band, and especially with Will, and I can testify a little bit, they're interested to experiment with a couple of these types of formats and rules. So I think biometrics is going to be implemented quite heavily. I like the idea of wearable tech. I like the idea of AI integration and that voice recognition into a lot of things, from live experiences to buying your tickets, things like that. Sorry, that was a big, long-winded thing. I could chop that up later.
No, but I'm kind of curious. One of the things that you're talking about there is the use and the application of big data. And how is that going to be utilized in the context?
Machine learning, big data.
Well, just in terms of that personal data that we are sharing all of the time. When we're walking around with a mobile phone in our pocket, we're kind of giving away a lot of information about ourselves. And I know, Sanjay, that you've done a lot with data visualization and just the application and use of data. What do you think is going to be the way that data is going to be utilized going forwards when it comes to this kind of entertainment-led technology?
So it's a very, very important question. Everyone in the Western world, actually anywhere where there's a smartphone, everyone has kind of bought into the expulsion of their own data into in the marketplace. And that's been ever since the digital revolution. Since the late 90s, people have been inputting data. So we're coming up to 20 years now to when that happened. And all of that data is out there. Everyone has these devices in their pockets, and everything that they do can be recorded in certain ways. Now, there are some companies that have really, monetized it from day one. Obviously, Facebook, obviously Google, who know more about what's happening in the world than governments do. But the key one is retailers. So companies like Amazon, they just launched the Amazon Lock. Have you seen that? Where you book everything through your app, and then everything happens through your front door, because people can access that front door using the Amazon Lock. And, there's a great advert about it where this lady's parents are about to arrive, and she basically organizes it through Amazon to have her place cleaned, and then she organizes it through Amazon to have someone drop a gift off. And that's all because we have the data, the infrastructure to communicate, to understand the data that's been piped through, these portals. And now that's a simple idea, but you could take it even further. And it's something, and I know you hate it when I get political, but it's something that happened during the last few elections, the general election, and also the UK elections, where businesses, and I'm not going to point any fingers, are basically utilizing social media to understand what it is that you like and manipulating what you see on your social feed so that you kind of steer towards a certain party or a certain belief. And that, I'm saying that the music industry could do that. They're not, because they don't have the infrastructure and also the funding to utilize that type of technology, but they could. Anyone can. And I don't know, there's some sinister sides to it, but it's an exciting time. It's a really exciting time. Just simple things. When we're talking about music sector, you could create an experience where people can go to a gig. They don't have to worry about ticketing because it's all being channeled through their phone. They're communicating with places in the area where they can order their drinks, their food, their shirts, maybe get customized shirts before they turn up. My name's Bobby, I'm at an Iron Maiden gig, I want Bobby Loves Iron Maiden printed on my shirt. These types of things are there, the possibilities are there. The music industry isn't really utilizing that because the key thing is to sell tickets. That's the most important thing. And also, when you're looking at festivals, you've got tickets, you've got toilets, you've got food, you've got X, you've got Y, you've got Z, you've got all these things.
Well, I find this really interesting because you're talking about the core revenue stream of selling tickets at a gig. And yet, in the same way that kind of TV and cinema kind of didn't twig or didn't kind of catch on until it was maybe a little bit too late with the whole streaming revolution and video on demand revolution, and it allowed for people like Amazon and Netflix to kind of, swoop in there and dominate these markets. Do you feel like maybe the music industry is missing a trick in terms of not being able to identify that there are other revenue options here? There are other ways that you could be,
I don't think they're missing the trick, because there are some really innovative, forward-thinking music businesses. They are out there.
Yeah.
I think we're just in a flux at the moment, and finding the right experience is what's going to dictate. And when I say the right experience, the right experience that the consumer can engage with is what's going to dictate whether it's going to work or not. Netflix works because the user experience is seamless. It's using technology that, they're using. It's basically BitTorrent technology. A lot of people don't realize that. It's actually using other users to kind of make sure that what you see is getting to you quickly. And it's just done in a way that is simple. You turn on your TV, your smart TV, you log on to Netflix, and you watch what you want to watch. The television industry didn't cotton onto that because they weren't looking for it. They didn't understand how to apply the technology. It's all about application. And I feel that at the moment, the right idea hasn't come that's going to allow to, I guess, hype that machine, get that change to occur. But it will happen.
So here's the thing I'm interested in, because what you're talking about there is kind of almost an evolution in the way that people have a particular attitude towards gig going and music festivals and what happens when they go to consume that kind of entertainment. In the same way, there has been, for certain types of people who are maybe living in big cities or have a bit more of a modern lifestyle, there has been a bit of an evolution in the way that they, for example, perceive money. So for a lot of people, myself included, I haven't had cash in my pocket, like coins and paper notes in my pocket, for maybe 5 years, give or take. And that's becoming the norm for a lot of people now. If you ask the average person, do they have cash on them, they're going to say no, because they'll be using their credit card. And that's a normal, assumed part of everyday life. And I'm just curious as to whether or not perhaps with the music industry, there is a scope for something similar where it's not about the assumed ticket price or the the assumption of I'm going to pay for drinks while I'm on site, I'm going to pay for merch while I'm on site, or whatever the thing is, but that idea that actually you just have a device on you that as you walk towards something, because it knows your personal preferences, it knows that data about you, it automatically says, well, there's a Coke waiting for you, just pick it up off to the side, or there's a pizza waiting for you, or whatever the thing may be. It's just organically doing that for you because it does understand your user journey. It does understand your personal data in the same way that Amazon understands your personal data when you're shopping.
I mean, that exists now, 1,000%. And I can tell you firsthand, there's a coffee company in London called Harrison Houle, and I had the app. I try it because I'm a digital geek. I try everything pretty much once. I'll download all the apps. I'll try it out, get rid of it if I don't like it, at least give it a go. I'm a big coffee fan. I downloaded the Harrison Houle app. Then you fill out it's not biometrically assuming or reading anything based off of my breathing or behavior, my body temperature. It's because I created my profile and I said I'd like a flat white with almond milk in it. But what it did is the geolocation sensed I was approaching the Harrison Houle. It would pop up, say, Mickey, do you need your flat white now? I'm like, damn right I do. And I walked in there and I could do a fast track queue. This is the one that was right across from Cannon Street, and they've shut that one down. There's a different one now. But I was able just to basically go on almost my brain was sensing. I knew where Harrison Houle was. I wanted the coffee. Suddenly the push notification pops up with exactly what I wanted, and that was there. But I'm glad you raised the point about the cashless society, because it is fast approaching, and it's going to be a way of life. And just last night, Sanjay and I were having this conversation with a woman that's running a very well-established, legendary major music venue in London. And we had a great conversation about, there's a petition that's online at the moment. It's the 26th of October, 2017, ladies and gentlemen. So depending on when you listen to this, to see what happens. It's on change.org, and it's basically a petition that you can sign. And once it reaches over 100,000 signatures, you can have the chance to go to Parliament. And that's to stop the reselling of tickets at a price that's larger than what the face value is.
Yeah.
And as someone that works directly with artists and labels and again broadcasters and other music industry, I think it's very important. The live music industry is flourishing at the moment, and it's important that maintains that steady rhythm. So what's a way to combat resale of tickets is a cashless society, is your electronic ring that you've got, or the wristband that you can get everything on it. About 5 years ago, I was being introduced to tech companies that were integrating the festival wristband that you top up and you prepay for, and they were aiming it at parents. So they can top it up, and in there is your ticket. It's everything else. It pretty much can't come off your list unless you saw it off. And then you could go and buy whatever. And then when they run out of money, they have to contact the parents to top it up, or whoever bought it for them, right? And that was being experimented with about 2011, which is like a lifetime ago in the digital space, really. So I think it's a really good point to be thinking about in the music industry, about creating ways to safeguard your business and keep your fans on their toes, but protecting your fans as well as the artists.
I brought, with another company, I brought RFID ticketing into the UK, and this was in 2009. And the real problem they had, this business had, was that to have the infrastructure to allow you to do that, because you'll need, now you don't need so much, but you would need like CPUs, etc., scanners, etc. There was a cost attached to it, and at the time it's changed. A lot of promoters just didn't see the value in it, spending X amount of money on something when they knew that it was going to be a sellout event anyway. So there needs to be this kind of perception of value. However, the technology is changing now. Beacon technology, a beacon is like, you can buy one for like less than 20 pence, and that will last 2 years. You can put however many in a venue. You build an app that will cost you X amount of money, and then already you've got a kind of social a digital ecosystem that can benefit your business.
Mapping.
Yeah.
Augmented mapping as well.
Yeah, whatever you want. So, I don't know. I think culture. It takes time to change culture. That's all. And thoughts.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say: is that as always, we like to ask you guys what the big question is. And in this context, I'm going to ask, what is that one significant thing that you think is going to just change up the music industry and the technology that's being applied within the music industry? Be that a cultural shift or a technological shift, what do we think is that one big thing that you can see happening that would just change the face of the music industry as it currently stands, and the technology that's being applied within that industry? What do you think that thing would be?
There's going to be definitely more integration of artificial intelligence and voice recognition. We did touch on Alexa skills and things like that. So I think that's starting to happen. Mm-hmm. But the way that the companies are investing in developers to make really amazing code that I can go, hey, Alexa, let's book a ticket for Tanya and I to go see the Prodigy at Brixton tonight. I want to be front row, and I want to get her a T-shirt with her name on it. And she'll answer back, hey, Mookie, no problem. That's done now. Boom. And I love referencing this TV show on Netflix called The Good Place. And they've got this AI bot called Janet. And I love her. They even put in the sound effects like, boing, hello, boom. And she's like, would have to reference, I now have to read 9,000 years worth of material. Okay, done. And that's how artificial intelligence and that type of technology, I think, will be really great for the music industry, because it's including fans, it's including the artists, it's including the business. There's ways to make money with it, and it can build. It can only get better. Thank you.
Sanjay, what about you?
So I'm with Mookie on this. I feel that artificial intelligence we are on a cusp of literally the fourth industrial revolution with regards to how that type of technology is going to change the way we do things. So definitely AI is a big part of how the music industry is going to change. All industries are going to change. But the other thing as well is blockchain. Blockchain is an opportunity for not just live music businesses to protect their ticketing, but also the actual music business to control how people consume music. You throw in blockchain in the mix, people will not be able to illegally download anything. There's always ways, there's always someone that's got an algorithm that can do something, but blockchain is the future of protecting artistic industries, I think.
Okay, awesome. Well, as always, we like to give our listeners a way to be able to find out a little bit more about you and what you're up to. And we ask you to do that by sharing with us your social media handle of choice. What would that be?
You can find me at Mookie Approved on all platforms, but mostly Twitter. Thank you.
Yeah, you can get me two ways. So there's Sanj Surati, SanjSurati, and that's on Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms. Or you can get me on Tiger Heart, which is Tiger Heart Tech, which is TigerHeartTech on all platforms as well. Yes.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much for joining us and thank you for listening. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to subscribe and review on Twitter. You can find us at Digital Jam Ltd. Once again, thank you for joining us live at VMA here in Bilbao, Spain. Thinking of starting your own podcast? Why not speak to the GL Pro UK team? They handle all of our podcasting service needs. Tell them that Digital Jam Session sent you and you'll get 10% off your first order. Find out more at www.glpro.co.uk. DigitalJamSessions.com